Hey guys, it's Jason Law and my co-host Rich, and we're in Victory Brand Studios, and we've still got Renix and Cap here. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about some foolish stuff that happens like in the office, and I have absolutely no idea what goes on with it.
It's not always fun and games for first responders.
05 Central, you show me in pursuit.
But sometimes it is.
Oh my God, he's not wearing pants again.
Sometimes it's dangerous.
Flipping around, look out, look out, look out.
Sometimes it's not.
Antler Boulevard for a snake in a house.
And sometimes it's just plain stupid.
Chihuahua in his lap on a lawnmower. Be heavily
This is the stupid side of first response.
Dispatch, do I really have to go to that?
This is Code 0.5.
Come in 0.5.
Okay, we left out in our last episode. Captain was talking about something, and I mean, is this at like an old agency you used to work at or something?
No, this was recent events.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about.
Well, I used to get prank. I was getting some prank calls recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man.
And I think I remember discussing it with you. I was getting these prank calls from the field guys, and you said you was going to take care of it and all of that. And then, being the fan of the podcast that I am, I was bebopping listening to some podcasts recently, and I heard an admission of guilt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I remember messaging you, telling you to let the guys know to knock it off, and we was going to, start having meetings in the morning.
Well, I did let him know. I told him to knock it off.
Yeah. And then it happened one more time there, and with the undersheriff.
You mean after I told them to stop, they kept doing it?
Well, I had one more that someone did. At first, I thought it was a they. I did have a suspicion that it may have been Sarge, but and then I was listening. And he was like, "Yeah, it was me." He had no idea.
After I'd told him about that, I was like, "We'll see if he listens to the podcast."
Yeah.
He's like, "Why?" I was like, "Because he has no idea."
No, I didn't know I was working with a criminal mastermind.
It's all their fault, and they're trying to figure out something new, and I hope they don't figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Text bombing.
It already sounds terrible.
You can, I found a website you can do this at, but you have to pay for so many messages or whatever. You put in someone's phone number, and then you put in the number of text messages and the frequency, how often you want it to happen. So you could put in there to send a person 500 text messages, and you want them to get one every 3 minutes.
Right.
So it'll just, and that's what it's a text bomb. It just sends them random crap to their phone.
It sounds like a crime.
Yeah. Because one of the other guys, the guy that you were talking about, saying you ought to get him on here one time. I think he's the one that brought it up at first. And then, I jumped on in. We're trying to find this stuff.
No, of course you would.
But yeah, because you can even have it set to where it'll send 1,000 messages, and you can tell it to send a message every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And it'll just send random stuff. You can tell it to send movie scripts, and it'll send so many lines every so many seconds or minutes or whatever.
Yeah, let's hope they don't figure that out. Lose my mind. I already hate getting every text message I already get. We were talking about funny stories in law enforcement and stuff, and I remember there was a time several years ago, probably 2015, 16, not long after Rich, sent me down the road. I was working where we are now, and we used to have training at a church that was about 4 miles from where I lived at the time, and I lived really close to OBU. It was a Baptist college there. And that morning I woke up, and I worked evenings, so I was already mad because I had to wake up early for training. And then so I got my patrol car, which was an marked Ford Explorer at the time. And I drove about 4 miles to this class, and while I was driving over there, I was listening to "Fuck the Police" by NWA, and I was just jamming out, And then I drive all the way across town, hit all stoplights. Of course.
Yes, we listened to that song too.
Yeah. And I get there, and when I pull up, I think I rolled my window down. I did something, but I realized that my rifle that was in my front seat at the time was leaned up against my PA mic. So that morning, when I left the house about 7:30 in the morning, I drove all the way across town, just blaring NWA from my marked patrol unit.
So
Everybody to hear. Yeah.
The kids at the Baptist school got to listen to it that morning, and at the church, and all the neighborhoods drove by.
I have no idea how no one called in and complained on me.
How did you realize that you had done that?
Because when I got where I was going, I may have got there a little early, so maybe I rolled my window down or something, and the music was still playing, and I could hear it coming over the PA. I was like, oh my God.
Was it so nobody else was around?
No one said anything.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, there were people around, but no one heard me people had to have heard me, but no one knew me or said anything. I was pretty surprised.
No, the best part would have been if you'd have pulled up and like you were running a little late or something. You got there and everybody else was outside. Turned, you're like 3 blocks away.
Right. Yeah. That'd been pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, and I could have seen that being the second time you got let go from somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
At least this time I earned it.
Yeah.
At least this time I earned it.
He's not in here.
I know where he's.
No, he stepped out for a minute.
Yeah, he's
on his smoke break, I guess.
Reflecting on his past decisions.
Those bad decisions. Letting people go.
What about you, Renix?
What about me?
Done anything stupid recently? Done anything Renix-y?
It really just depends on the day.
Oh, and you know, when you would have left from there, there's what's that? There's another church there along the road when you're driving down there to go. That's on the south side of the road on 45th.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
What day was it? Middle of the week?
No, it was a weekday. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
We had training that morning.
Shoot, everybody was probably hurrying up, trying to get to work and everything else, not paying attention.
It was a long time ago. Probably the funniest thing, one of the funniest things. This isn't not law enforcement. I used to be a medic and a firefighter a long time ago, and I remembered it earlier because y'all were talking about someone was talking about lift assists.
Oh yeah,
you get called to lift assist. Well, we got called. There's this lady that we used to go, lift assist. She'd fall down. She was probably my age now, probably 40 or something, and she was a big girl.
Yeah,
she used to fall down, just couldn't get up. So we said she was really cool, and we used to joke around with her all the time. Well, this one time we went over there, she happened to have had falling in the shower. So we had to go pick her up, and she was in there on all fours in the shower. I don't know if I should even tell a story. But anyway, so she's on all fours in the shower. So immediately I walk around to where her head is because I don't want to be on that end because there's really small confined space, and we're going to have to help this lady up. And the only way we're going to do it is someone's going to have to grab her by the hips and help out. So I knew which side I wanted to be on. So I got on my side, and my partner was behind her. Squat down, help her get up, and we counted to 3. 1, 2, 3. We all stood up together, and when she did, she farted really loud. And my partner was on the backside of her, squatted down with his hands around the hips, helping her up. So basically, he got a full fart in the face. And we all laughed about it, especially after we laughed even more. But I mean, she was obviously embarrassed. And but she had a good spirits about it. And we all kind of laughed about that. But I'll never forget about the time he got farted right in his face.
Was it one of those that you'd been there so often that you can remember her by name and all that?
Yeah. One of those. We used to go quite often. Yeah.
Or you'd walk in, she'd call you by name.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It was definitely.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. 2-3 times a week we was helping her up. But this one time it was just.
Now, see, that would be some great stuff to happen to Renix.
Oh, no. I'd need therapy after that.
After that, you would need therapy?
Yeah, probably. I probably need it now.
I was going to say, what the hell? What about now?
Yeah.
I guess I should clarify. Like, I'm not making fun of this lady.
No,
but the situation was hilarious, and she laughed about it too. So.
Oh, hell, I would have laughed too. I'd have been like, damn, that was perfect timing. I can't believe I pulled that off.
Mm-hmm.
Is he out there sulking? Is he still thinking about the letting go thing?
I don't know.
I mean, it probably bothers him more than it does you.
Oh, he got kind of deep into that NPC theory. He might be out there having a what's it called? A existential crisis.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else that might have happened to me here recently. Besides the prank stuff, there's more crap that they're scheming up.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then it got to the point whenever that last one that was done, and then you were like, I'm going to put a stop to this and all that.
Right.
That's when I was really telling the guys to be like, okay, hey, the line has officially been crossed. We need to stop.
Mm.
I told you about the time when, who was it? Well, one of the guys had done it to me and you. Remember that? And then
Yeah,
I
that's the
told
one.
him
That's the one you played on the podcast.
Yeah, and then he felt like crap because he thought I was in trouble. And
Yeah.
you yelled and screamed at me and cussed at me and stuff.
You were telling me all that, and I was like, "Listen, dude, just let him know everything's cool. I don't want him to like." I guess 23. I didn't want him to go home thinking that he's going to get reprimanded or something,
Or he's going to get let go.
Yeah, because that does happen around here.
It's unnecessary. You've been waiting this entire time to say that.
Oh no, we've already mentioned this like two or
right,
three times.
right.
Yeah.
That's going to be the new thing.
I told him the story about the NWA trip,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, it might have been the second time you got fired.
Oh.
Well, at least that time I earned it. First time was definitely unearned.
Oh my God.
Just got let go for doing my job, man.
Oh my God.
Are those people still in charge down there? Like still on the council and all that?
I have no idea. I don't even know what that guy's name was. He was a new city manager that came in like that night. He was an older guy. I doubt he's still there.
I wonder how many people are on their council and all that, because there's a few people, because on our stats it says that there's some listeners in Conemaugh.
Oh yeah, I told you.
They
That's,
had, like, three-
that's the lab girls.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah, I have 4 wards, so they probably had 4 council members and a city manager, something like that.
So the lab girls listen to it?
Who's the lab girls?
Though my wife's a lab rat,
Oh,
so all her people listen to it. Don't they?
gotcha.
We should say like some crazy shit about your wife on here.
I don't think I've ever met your wife,
I
actually.
think not.
I don't believe that I have.
How is that?
I have no idea.
Crazy.
Really? Mm-mm. You let him go and he hadn't met Holly?
Hell no. If I was going to let him go, I wouldn't want him to meet my family either.
Oh my God.
Well, you can't fire your friends.
Oh,
He
my
wanted to
God.
make sure we weren't friends.
Oh, okay.
You don't introduce non-friends to your family, especially if you plan on getting them down the road.
Here we-
weeks.
Did y'all hear Bob Barker died a while back? That was sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happened? Was it a heartache? Did he get let go from somewhere or something?
What?
Bob Barker. Is that
Oh yeah, broken heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neutered way one too many.
We'll have more coming up on Code 0.5.
If you're looking for a political podcast that goes beyond the headlines, check out the Beltway Briefing. I'm Howard Schweitzer, CEO of Cozen O'Connor Public Strategies. Every week on the Beltway Briefing, our team of former Republican and Democratic presidential appointees, Capitol Hill veterans, and political advocates shares behind-the-scenes perspective that cuts through the noise. If you want the inside scoop, subscribe now to the Beltway Briefing here or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm about to go Donald Trump in here on you, Renix.
Are you going to jail?
Fired.
Oh, fire.
4 times? Oh, wait a minute. Did y'all see his mugshot?
Yes.
So, and there's people that have looked at that and they talk about it and they're like, oh, look how serious he is. Like, he's not going to let this stop him and all.
No, that's a sad face because you're in jail.
Yeah, he's probably pissed because he can't get his McDonald's burger. Did you see what the media was in uproar about?
Mm-mm.
It had him listed at 215 pounds.
And 6'3".
Yeah, that's what they were all complaining about.
Yeah, that was definitely self-reported.
Yeah,
I can assure you.
And then they were like comparing him to like these college athletes that are 6'3", 215, and then him. It's like, wait a minute. I mean, that's not a fair comparison.
No, it's not, because I'm 6'2", 250, but I am not a college athlete 6'2", 250. There's a huge difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah. Mine's too many cheeseburgers, not too many weightliftings.
Yeah.
Speaking of college athletes,
Don't go there.
so my boys and the mini Renai, as I call them,
Renai.
Wouldn't that be plural?
Renai, are they're on the same football team.
Uh-huh.
And apparently at this last practice, scouts from Louisiana Tech, a bunch of D1 schools are out there watching his boys.
At what age?
9.
Line.
That's pretty common, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. They got hands.
Mm.
Throw lasers.
You don't see too many 9-year-olds running a 4 flat.
Well, I mean, when their dad's, a state champion football player
I
from
was not.
Houston, Texas. That's
Was
what you were
not.
saying last
No,
night.
I said
Yeah.
district champion.
When you're from
state.
somewhere that far away, you can be whatever you want.
Yeah. I think we need to call some Houston
That's,
people.
that's kind of like saying, I got a girlfriend. You wouldn't know her. She goes to a different school.
Yeah.
Goes to a different school.
Did you pull that? What'd you say? You'd
Okay,
have
so-
went pro if you hadn't torn your ACL or
That's what everybody says.
I didn't go pro just because I thought I was a good football player until I got to college. When I got to college, I really found out what a good football player is. Like, there's a difference between me at the time being a very lean 6'2", 200 and lining up against a very lean 6'4", 290. And, I can remember going into reporting for 3 days early. We'd go in there in the weight room, max out and stuff. So for bench press, I just put 225 on. You just press it until you burn out. And I think I did like 12, 14 times, something like that. And this other guy that was same.
that's more than you. Yeah, it is. He's got a wingspan on him.
But
He actually has to lift it.
the guy that went after me pushed 225 38 times. And then he was acting like he was all pissed off because he got weak over the off season. And I was like, this is a completely different ball game. Completely different. So
Yeah, there's a guy I know that talks about how he could have gone and played college ball and that kind of stuff. And like, I've gone and officiated college and semi-pro football. And when I showed up, I'm like a midget compared to these people. And this dude that told me, oh, I could have gone D1, he's like 5'8" by 5'8", and it's like, where?
that's like all those guys like, yeah, I would have went to the Army, but I had asthma when I was a kid. It's like, shut up.
Because I was like, man, I'm a pretty good sized guy. I think I could play some college football. And then I get there and like, I'm like just under 6'2". And I'm standing next to these offensive linemen and I'm looking up at them and they're like average height is like 6'7" and stuff like, and it's like, holy shit.
Oh, so they're like under sheriff size then.
Yeah, but they run.
And their arms are this big around.
Yeah, and they run like a 4.6 40 as a freaking O lineman.
Yeah,
sorry, Nana.
Yeah, sorry, Nana. No, it's just a completely different experience. The size, the speed, the intelligence, the game intelligence that people have. It's hard to describe until you experience it.
Well, see, I've done some semi-pro stuff, and they play in the summer, and it's freaking hot. And like one of the players was late, and I can't remember who it was. If I say their name, I'm probably wrong, but I think it was Prentice Elliott. And he showed up late for the game, and I looked at him, and I could actually talk to him because he's a running back, and he was my height. Right. And I was like, you mean you're getting to play and you showed up late? And he goes, well, I had a good reason. And I was like, why? And he goes, well, I was at the Giants training camp. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. And like all their players they played D1 or they were at the pro level. And I would officiate this game. And then later I go and officiate high school football. And it's like those kids are moving in slow freaking motion.
Yeah. And
it's like, holy God, come on. And it got boring to me.
Really?
And then you go back to that, the next level, and it's a totally different game. It's like you go in high school, those are just little kids, and then you get these freaks of nature and, the college level.
It's like, remember like Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant played for the Thunder when they first came over. Like, Westbrook looked like a little guy out there, but I've seen him up close one time. Dude's like 6'3".
Yeah.
6'3" point guard. So he's well over 6 foot, but he looks compared to everybody else like Durant's 6'7", I think.
Looks like a little guy out there.
Yeah. It's just a different level. People don't until you experience it. It's just hard to explain.
We were doing we did the beer systems down there when I was doing refrigeration. Dude, the toilets are even at a different height. The urine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're like at your freaking chest, Like, I'm not short, but these things were the sinks, not the sinks, but like the hell is that? Countertops. That's it. Yeah, that shit was like right here, like almost at my shoulders. It was freaking crazy. Everything was massive in there.
Yeah.
Tables and...
Oh, that reminds me of like my first traffic stop I ever made. I might have told it on here before. It's like 3:00 in the morning, and there's an orange Challenger driving through town, and it looked like it didn't have any tag lights. So I stop it. I'm talking to the guy, and told him, I was like, hey, the reason why I stopped you is because your tag lights aren't on. He was like, nuh-uh. He goes, this is a brand new car. And I was like, it doesn't look like they're working. He goes, would it be all right if I got out and looked at it? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's being as cool as can be with me. Well, he said he got lost and he was trying to get back to Norman. I'm thinking of OU's campus. Well, he gets out of the car and he stands up, and he keeps standing up, and I'm looking up, and what's going through my mind is if this big dude attacks me, I'm gonna have to shoot him because he'd kill me with his bare hands. And he ended up telling me he played football, but he wouldn't tell me where. But I mean, long story short, I turned my headlights out on my unit, and the tag lights were on, but they were so damn dim you couldn't see it. And he was pissed about it. And I thanked him. I was like, "Thanks for not being an asshole." And he was like, "Why, man?" I was like, "'Cause you could have freaking hurt me." He was like, "Oh no, man, I'm not like that." He goes, "The only time I hurt anybody is when I'm playing football," and that's when we started talking.
Yeah,
he didn't come out and say where he played at, but I just envisioned that's where he was, because he was a big guy, but it wasn't like a fat big guy. He had some muscle there, but I mean, good Lord, he was huge.
That's similar. One of my first traffic stops when I came to this agency was, I was on night shift patrol, and I seen someone ran a stop sign like 2 a.m. So I stopped them, and when I walked up, the female, her face was all bloody, and come to find out, her boyfriend at the time, passenger seat, was hitting on her. He was mad. They were coming from wherever they were going. And she said she ran the stop sign because she saw me, because she wanted somebody to stop her. So anyway, I get out there, and so I walk around the other side and ask this gentleman to stand up and get out and talk to him. And it's the same scenario. I think he was like 6'7", 6'8", listed probably 400 pounds, huge man.
Yeah.
And when he stood up, and I'm even standing like on the curb, because she had pulled next to the curb, and he's still towering over me. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I actually had to take him to jail, and I'm really glad that he didn't get a hold of me, because I don't know what would have happened.
Well, have you ever noticed it seems like the bigger, like taller the person is, the less drama you have with them? But the short people, it seems like you always have to go hands-on or fight them or deal with bull crap from them.
Yeah, I've talked to people like the undersheriff. He's a big man, and he used to do some security work prior to his law enforcement career, and he said it was just people tried to pick fights with him. It was just an everyday thing, because he's big. People are constantly challenging him, so he didn't feel like I would imagine people like that don't feel like they have anything to prove, because it's just normal for them.
We got a hold of one time, and he had a warrant, and he was acting cool. Like the whole time, I'm like, man, you got a warrant. And we were trying to put him in the back. All we had was Crown Vics. And we tried to put him in there, and like he couldn't even sit sideways with his legs. I was like, we're going to have to figure something out. Dude, cuffs, the normal size cuffs wouldn't fit this dude. I was like, holy shit. We almost had to end up using like leg shackles.
The people that have always put me on high alert more than anybody, it's not the big people. It's the people that have that ear. The wrestler's ear.
The cauliflower ear.
Yeah. Because whenever I see people like that, it's like, I don't know how good you can fight, but I know you have a lot more experience than I do. Like a lot, and I'm not going to challenge that. Like I just don't want to. You obviously know what you're doing.
Well, that always put me at alert, because like those people will do that stuff for fun. That shit's not fun.
No.
So they're freaking crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to get hit in the face.
And I read something about that cauliflower ear. Some of the fighters or wrestlers, they'll keep it as basically like a trophy.
I can see that. Yeah.
because I guess it's a very easy procedure to fix it.
Yeah.
And there's only a
Basically, they
very
just kind of drain it.
and the only people that have that are the very specific people who, MMA fighters, wrestlers, those guys that are always, it's from getting your ear rubbed into the mat over and over and over and over, and it causes scar tissue and cartilage to grow. But yeah, I don't mess with people with the ear.
Yeah, one of our boys likes to wrestle, and that's all he talks about is he's hoping one day he gets that. And I'm like, why?
I wouldn't. I mean, it looks so weird.
Yeah.
I've heard it's really painful too.
I avoided that when I was wrestling.
Yeah, I just didn't wrestle. Again, I don't like getting hit in the face.
No.
Or anywhere for that matter.
No.
When I say hit, I mean punched.
I didn't like running either, but my dumbass played basketball. So.
Yeah, me too. I was a lot skinnier back then.
I wish they had it like back in the day, how women had 6-on-6, where they only had to play half the court. I'd do that shit. Yeah, that'd be all right with me.
I had a teacher in high school. She held the scoring record for high school women's basketball in Oklahoma. It was back when they played 6-on-6. She was a forward, so she always played on the offensive side.
Yeah.
She dropped like 60 something points in a game. I guess that was at the time a record, and she held it for quite a while. Yeah,
I didn't know this, but at one point, the court used to be divided up into thirds.
Really?
Yeah, and instead of them playing the two halves 6-on-6, there was thirds. There was a center section and the two ends.
that makes no sense.
And then they used to be, how they used to, the nickname they gave basketballers was cagers. Well, they used to have a nickname that was cagers. And the reason behind this was because they used to put, I think it was chain link fence up in front of the bleachers. Because at one point the fans or whatever would get upset, and back then their drinks came in glass bottles, and they would throw those glass bottles at the court. So it looked like they were playing in cages.
I could see that.
That's wild.
Yeah, some history book my dad read and was telling me about it one time. I only played basketball because it was something to fill the void in between like football and baseball season.
Right.
I didn't really give a crap about it, but
Could have wrestled.
but I wasn't a fan of putting on tight clothing and rolling around with men.
We didn't have wrestling when I was in high school. I went here. I just didn't offer it.
They've never had it.
That was a long time ago. I hadn't talked about high school sports in forever.
You wrestled, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I can see you rolling around with a bunch of guys.
Oh my god. He wrestled too.
Y'all probably wrestled together, didn't you?
See how his face kind of changed?
Y'all probably wrestled together, didn't you?
No.
Oh.
We did one day out in the parking
Yeah.
lot.
One day.
B-Red was a wrestler when he was in school. I've wrestled with him once.
Oh, really? I hate that crap. I hate fighting. Because when it's over with, you're freaking wore out. And I'd rather talk somebody out of a situation than have to do all that crap.
Yeah.
It's always the first choice.
Oh, did I tell you I got to use a bolo wrap on a guy?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
A what?
That's what's up.
And it was effective.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to tell
Guy
us
took
about
off
that.
running on me one time.
Yeah.
And you know that bolo wrap that I carry that shoots the cable?
Yeah.
Well, he took off running and we were inside of a building. Well, I waited till we got out because that thing was pretty loud. As soon as we got outside, I shot him in his legs, wrapped his legs up, and he fell and face planted into the ground. Started screaming and yelling that I'd shot him. Well, as he's getting himself up, I go over and put my arm into him and put him against the fence there. Well, he reaches over and grabs my arm and pulls it in. Well, I'd just gotten some knives off him. So the first thing that goes through my mind is that he might have another weapon that I missed. And I yell at him to let go. Let's bring this up because we're talking about fighting. He wouldn't let go. So I had to like convince him to let me go. And yeah, he wasn't too happy after that.
Persuaded him, did you?
Oh, yeah.
The last fight I got on duty it's been years ago. I was on patrol. We spun out to one of the local bars north of town for a fight. So I get out there. Have I told you this story?
No, but I think I know what bar you're talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is only one north of town now. But anyway, I get out there, got reported a fight. When I walk in, the place is packed. Like, they're having a good time, but no one's fighting. So I go to the bartender. I said, hey, yeah, someone called. She goes, yeah, it was, we had an off-duty bartender who was here. He's not working. He's been drinking and got into a scuffle with some people They hit him, but they already left. I was like, all right, well, where's this guy at? And they said, well, he's dancing with a girl on the dance floor. So, okay, well, I'll let him finish his dance, and then I'll ask him, hey, just checking on you. You need a report, whatever you need. So he finishes his dance. I'm just sitting there in full uniform and around everybody drinking and partying. As soon as he finishes, I walk up and introduce myself and said, heard you may have gotten into an altercation. Just want to know anything that we can do for you and make a report, whatever you want. And this guy just was very intoxicated and just grabs a hold of me, and away we went. Like,
wow.
Yeah. Like, he wasn't even the suspect. He was the victim.
Wow.
And he grabs a hold of me, and I said, you need to let go. And I'm trying to get his, and dude's big. I'm getting his arms off. And about that time, one of our other lieutenants, my lieutenant at the time, showed up, and we're engaged, wrapped up. He comes up, grabs him, and we go to the floor, and it is just wild. Like, this dude is so big, so strong, so intoxicated. I think we ended up having 4 or 5 deputies in there trying to, because he wound up on his stomach and was holding his arms under, couldn't get his arms out. And we have probably flipped every table in this place at this point. And then everybody around us is yelling at us, get off of him, you're hurting him. And, one of the, Jared was there that night, and he was like, I'll arrest everybody in here for public intoxication. and so we're on top of this guy, and I have a taser at the time, but I never even used it once, never pulled it out. Well, Jared pulls my taser off of my belt while we have 3 people trying to get the guy's hands out from under him. And he starts yelling taser, and he's about to shoot probes into this guy while we're all laying on top of him. And I'm like, no. Because they're just like came out. Remember that video came out a few years ago where the guy did that and he got his partner and started tasing him. All I could think about. So he pulled the cartridge off, and I think there was may have been some drive stuns involved. But we wound up getting him in. We had to carry him out in handcuffs, and he was trying to kick my windows out. That was a big old long deal. Got him in jail. Well, he writes me a letter from jail like a month ago, addressed to me directly, apologizing, saying he's never been in trouble before. He was going through a rough time, super intoxicated, and he said, whatever happens. I just want you to know I'm very sorry about what happened. So, and I felt bad because the guy hadn't never been in trouble before, and he had been sitting in jail for like 4 or 6 weeks because no one would bond him out. So I went to the DA's office and it's like, and they wound up, reducing some charges for him. And I think maybe he just got a public intox out of the deal and got out of jail. But yeah, it was a wild deal.
Yeah, he was the victim. You're just checking on his well-being. That's why I don't like dealing with people that are drunk.
You're just so unpredictable, man.
I mean, the people I've dealt with that are high, I'll deal with them all day long.
Yeah,
I mean, they're usually calm and nothing bothers them. They're laid back, but I hate dealing with people that are drunk because you never know what you're going to get.
No. Oh, we had that happen last night.
Yeah.
She was under the influence of something.
Yeah, she was gone. Banging on the back window, dude.
I thought she was going to break out the other officers' windows.
Yeah, I was like, look, just calm down. They're cutting you a break. You're fixing to go home. Didn't work out that way.
Yeah, she was like, "No, you,
and him."
Yeah, alcohol it's such a violent drug compared to all the other ones. When you think about it, I've never had someone on methamphetamine try to fight me. Usually, they're just trying to run from me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's happened, but more often than not, alcohol just makes people mad. A lot of people, not all people.
Yeah, that drunk anyway. More times than not, you end up having to fight with them, or they're not even remotely close to thinking clearly at that time,
and they're loud. You start drinking, you don't. It's like you don't understand your volume anymore. It's just, oh man.
All right, well, I think this is a good time to cut this one off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thanks for listening.
Later.
You have been listening to Code 0.5, the lighter side of police work. If you have ideas or suggestions for our show, we'd love to hear from you. Visit our website at code05.co. That's code05.co. And please consider making a donation at our Patreon page. Patreon.com/code05. Be sure to use the digits 05. Thanks for listening to Code 0.5.